Call of Duty is a game of legacy. I mean, that's kind of what we've hung our hat on here for the channel for almost a decade, and we all love new ideas and locations being added to the mix, right? It's nice to have new stuff, but it's also nice to have a sense of familiarity with each new game. Welcome to the page, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Today, we're going to be looking at my selection for maps that need to absolutely return at Modern Warfare 2 later this year. Now, keep in mind, I'm hoping these maps come unchanged as opposed to the strange reimaginings we got in Modern Warfare 2019. These maps were amazing because how they were originally. They don't need to be changed, so no extra lanes, no added doors, none of that. Let's get these maps back unchanged in all their legendary glory, so you guys let me know which one you want the most. And we start off with Favela from Modern Warfare 2. Did you guys know Favela was originally going to be in COD 4. It was going to be in the Variety map pack, but it was cut due to time constraints. But when it did launch with the original Modern Warfare 2, it was a massive hit, one of the most iconic in the entire game, which is saying a lot. Set in a Brazilian town, it featured a lot of alleyways, buildings to weave in and out, rooftops to jump over. It was fun. It was extremely dynamic for a map back then. It was one of the most addicting in Modern Warfare 2 because of how many ways you could play it. Now, Favela was remade in Ghost. It's playable in Modern Warfare 3 Plutonium, and I would love to see it make a full return in Infinity Ward's next game. If the mechanics still favor camping like Modern Warfare 2019, it may be a bit of a problem, but if the gameplay is faster, I think Favela would be a blast. Guys, before we move on, if you get anything from G2A, use code CHAOS for some cash back, whether it be a new PC game, Steam card, anything. Take advantage. The link is at the top of the description. Now we move to number 9. Mission from Modern Warfare 3. Raise your hand if you remember it. It was one of the most beloved maps in the game, but it never returned, ever. Medium-sized map set in Sierra Leone, Africa, and many people remember it as one of the most vertical maps in the game. Now, the middle of the map took place on a giant patch of high ground, and there were a few ways to get up there, but if you wanted to win a match, you hold the middle. Do you remember when COD maps had power positions and verticality? I mean, Mission is perhaps the best example of that, as the high ground area had a clear advantage, but it wasn't impossible to take it back from the enemy team, unlike something like Gustav Cannon. Also, despite having some really long sight or line of sights for snipers, Mission had a lot of alleyways. They had corridors. A lot of people ran SMGs and shotguns and played to their strengths. It was a fantastic map, and I'm honestly shocked it never returned after its Modern Warfare 3 debut, to be honest with you. It was one of their best maps. At number 8, Frontier from Infinite Warfare. Now, hear me out. Frontier was one of the most unique maps in the game, and it featured 2 stories of tight corridors and intense sightlines. It was one of the most popular maps in the game because of how fast-paced and intense it was, and I think it would actually make a great addition to the next Modern Warfare game. It was set on a space station, yes, and despite being a game with thrust jumps and wall running, it didn't actually require much advanced movement in order to play. It didn't. Could easily be adjusted ever so slightly to work properly with boots on the ground. It's a map set in a space station. It could give a nice change of atmosphere and pace in Modern Warfare. I think it's a dark horse. At number 7, Strike Zone and Ghosts. Now, Ghost was heavily criticized, especially by me, for its large maps and slow pace, but if you were looking for a classic COD experience, Strike Zone did it. Great job recreating it. Unlike the others, Strike Zone was a classic 3-lane map with tight corridors. It had short to medium length sightlines and a lot of potential for great clips and Chem Strike gameplays. It was set in an abandoned baseball stadium. There was lots of great set pieces, Easter eggs hidden everywhere. It was fun. Plus, if somebody managed to get a Chem, the layout would completely change after the explosion, which added more character and personality to it. Now, it's unclear right now if Modern Warfare 2 is going to feature a game-ending nuke or something less drastic like the Modern Warfare 3 Moab, but if IW ends up going with the latter, I hope they bring this back. It'd be cool. You're playing on a map, you get a 25 kill streak, you call in a reward, and you get to completely change the map you're on. It would be an awesome mechanic, and I know I'm not the only one who would love to see Strike Zone return. Ghost wasn't the most loved map, but Strike Zone, it was good, and it fits right in with a fast-paced 6v6 gameplay that a lot of they just really want right now. At number 6, Stonehaven and Ghosts. Speaking of Ghost maps, it was probably the most hated one of them all, but I've said in a video or two, it wasn't a bad map, it was just too big. It's beautiful, it could actually be exciting in Search and Destroy, but in normal 6v6 respawn modes, way too big. Absolutely nothing happened. So why am I saying bring it back? Well, assuming Ground War comes back in the new game, Stonehaven could be good. Imagine Stonehaven but with 20v20 or even 32v32, maybe some motorcycles or ATVs. It would be chaotic fun. I mean, it should be 100% reworked into a Ground War map because a map that beautiful deserves some fun gameplay to go along with it. Now we've reached the top 5. Dome from Modern Warfare 3. This was the go-to place for salty 1v1s back in the game, and while it's been remade a couple times, I don't think the community would be upset if it came back one more. Classic 3-lane map, some great sightlines, insane choke points. It made for extremely high kill games of Dom and Drop Zone, and the abundance of cover and alternate routes, it made it good for just about any playstyle. In the small size, it wasn't so small that it was just pure chaos, right? It returned as Unearthed and Ghost in Genesis and Infinite Warfare. It's been a fan favorite every single time, so why not bring it back? It's one of IW's best maps, and if Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer is more old school than recent COD games, which I hope it is, bring us Dome. At number 4, Showdown from COD 4. Awesome map. It's often overshadowed by other classics like Crash, Shipment, and Vacant. It was kind of an arena style. Instead of having 3 distinct lanes, you were battling out this big center structure with multiple levels and lots of sightlines. You could also flank on the outskirts, try to turn the tide of the enemy, but you always had to be aware of snipers holding the main choke points. It was fun, but it never actually got remade after COD 4, which is kind of odd because it's a pretty well-liked addition to COD history. So I think it's time for Showdown. I think I called it Showtime earlier, which is actually a COD Ghost match, to get another chance to shine. At number 3, Shipment from COD 4. Now, before you say we're tired of Shipment, let me clarify again that I'm talking about the original COD 4 version. Not Vanguard, not 2019. Not at all. The classic Shipment. Much more fair and a lot easier to play on. The last couple Shipments have been way too hectic and chaotic, and while some people like that for the sake of finishing camo challenges, the classic COD 4 Shipment was legitimately a good map. Okay, Flo. Spawns were surprisingly solid if you didn't constantly spawn and get immediately shot from 4 directions, right? If it returns in Modern Warfare 2, I'm hoping it's the classic version. At number 2, Aground from Modern Warfare 3. This was actually one of the least played maps in the game due to it being limited to Face-Off playlist. Who remembers Face-Off? But it was an excellent addition. I would love to see it come back as a gunfight map or maybe even a 6v6. I think it's big enough. It was set in an Irish cliffside in the ruins of some abandoned cargo ships. You could sneak your way in and out of the rocks, the tunnels, the remnants of the ships. Sniping was insane, yes, and it was extremely tense for search and destroy. Now, back in the day, you could only play this map in the Face-Off playlist, but if you play Modern Warfare through Plutonium, you get much bigger lobbies here, and it's actually fun. It actually plays well. I don't think this map should be forgotten in the COD vault. If Gunfight returns in Modern Warfare 2, bring back Aground. And at number 1 today, maps that need to return to Modern Warfare 2. Terminal from Modern Warfare 2. Now, I've said a couple times that this is Infinity Ward's best map of all time, and I stand by it. A lot of people were expecting Terminal to return in 2019, but it didn't. The map debuted in Modern Warfare 2 is based on the controversial No Russian campaign mission. However, instead of gunning down civilians, you're doing battle with another team in a deserted and busted out airport as you weave in and out of terminals, gift shops, runway, and even the plane. Absolutely had everything you could ask for from a COD map, and it literally had every play style in there you could thrive with. It's one of the most iconic maps in COD history, and while it did return in MW3 and Infinite Warfare, there's a whole new generation of COD players who have not experienced it. Infinity Ward seems dedicated to bring back the core COD audience with their new game, and if you're going to do that, bring Terminal out of retirement. And there you have it, my friends. Let me know a map that you want returned in Modern Warfare 2 that we didn't mention, and I'll see you soon.